Hello, everybody. Welcome to Control City Freak. Today we are talking about eastbound I-10. Yes, it is our first coast-to-coast route, and I'm starting in the west and going east, even though I know the mileage numbers go the opposite way, just because. 10 famously starts right near Santa Monica Pier at its junction with PCH, which I always thought was this bridge. I always thought this was the start of 10 or the end of 10 going the other way. But it turns out it actually ends a few blocks further over at its interchange with Lincoln Avenue, which is also PCH Highway 1. Driven this freeway a million times, just learned that a couple years ago. Hey, who knows? So 10 goes east into Los Angeles. Here is its first interstate junction with the 405, and moving on into near downtown LA, we meet with the 110, both California State Highway and Interstate Highway, as you can see there. And 10 is soon to become the San Bernardino Freeway, and so gets the San Bernardino Control City. Also the Santa Ana Control City, because it is going to be meeting I-5 in just a short amount of time. 5 and 10 have a short concurrency and then split at the East LA interchange. 10 gains the Control City San Bernardino, which it will keep for the rest of its time in the LA metro area. And we see, 5 North Sacramento, 5 East San Bernardino. At the junction with I-15 in Rancho Cucamonga, I believe, San Bernardino and Indio are now both signed, because at this point we're pretty close to San Bernardino. 15 people consider a San Bernardino kind of freeway, even though it's actually 215 that's in there because they swapped numbers back when. And once we get into 215 and San Bernardino, 10 switches to Redlands and Palm Springs. Seems like an odd choice for me. I probably would have gone with Phoenix, although I probably would have preferred Phoenix all the way from downtown LA. And now 10 East Indio, 10 West Los Angeles is the sign that's actually on 215. So on the 215, we see that Indio is the sole control city for now. At the Palm Springs interchange with 111, we get one of my very favorite signs in the Interstate Highway system. I've never actually seen it personally yet, but I've always seen it on Google Street View and in forums and whatnot. And I just love the lowercase O and desert cities on different lines. The whole thing is just wonderful. In Indio, this is in Indio where California 86 meets the 10. The 10 continues on toward Blythe and Phoenix. I really think Blythe is kind of a useless control city, but California is obsessed with controlling its own cities, which we will see is a trend throughout I-10. I-10 has some really annoying control cities, mainly because it goes through some states with really strange and provincial control city policy. Arizona not being one of them. Arizona is pretty awesome with its control cities, so suddenly we are on 10 East Phoenix and Phoenix alone. Once we make it to Phoenix, we are on 10 East Tucson, and it's merged with 17. Oh, you may have noticed I'm not doing as many small mileage signs as I usually do in this. It's just simply because 10 is so long, going from coast to coast, nearly 3,000 miles of highway. Can't possibly do every possible secondary control along the way. So in Tucson, we now have 10 East El Paso, which I think is the absolutely perfect control city in Tucson. I think it's a great pick, but it doesn't last long. As soon as we are in New Mexico, suddenly we are no longer on 10 East El Paso. We are on 10 East Lordsburg, because everybody knows Lordsburg, super famous place, really somewhere you definitely know on a map. Annoyingly, Lordsburg and Deming are the two cities that are pretty much signed throughout New Mexico. Lordsburg and Deming. See, here we have 10 East Deming, 10 West Lordsburg, some street out in the middle between them. Exit 29, 5 Deming, 57. We get the slightly bigger Las Cruces 110 as our, I guess this is now the primary control if it's the bottom of the sign. This one in downtown Deming, we have a basically a through traffic type of sign, just a 10 east sign. So New Mexico doesn't want to even bother signing Las Cruces, and certainly doesn't want to bother signing the real city that's just past Las Cruces in El Paso. But we do have Las Cruces signed at the interchanges with the streets that I-10 meets along the way. Finally, El Paso gets onto the mileage sign game, but it's quite a while before El Paso is on another pull-through, probably 54 miles or so. Yeah, so once 10 meets with 25 in Las Cruces, 10 now becomes 10 East El Paso, which we remember was what it was hundreds of miles ago back in Tucson, and really what it should have been this entire time. All right, so in El Paso, we are now on 10 East Van Horn and San Antonio at the junction with 54. Van Horn, I don't know, that's a weird one. We have a dual split Van Horn in San Antonio. Which one is the real control city? Well, on US 54, it says 10 East Van Horn. So that would indicate that Texas Department of Transportation is kind of emphasizing Van Horn here, which, Van Horn is kind of a wide spot on the road. Yeah, this is why I'm not doing mileage signs so much in this, again, because 10 is so long. And also, if I were to try and find all these West Texas mileage signs, they're basically like this: Fabin 6, Sierra Blanca 62. So some random place nobody's ever heard of, a few miles, some other random place nobody knows, a few more miles. That's how they all are. We get Van Horn, the sprawling metropolis of Van Horn, makes it onto the sign here. And yeah, Van Horn 34. Once we are in Van Horn, we get Marfa and San Antonio. It seems like on the bigger sign, San Antonio is more regularly signed after Van Horn. So we do have a pull through here, 10 East San Antonio. And at the junction with I-20, we have Fort Worth, Dallas, and 10 East, just straight up San Antonio, which I think is the way to go here. San Antonio, the closer we get in, the more it's treated like a traditional control city. So San Antonio 381. Once we are in San Antonio, the control city for I-10 switches to Houston, which of course makes total sense. San Antonio and Houston, both huge, both over 1 million people, city proper alone. Houston's the 4th biggest city and 4th biggest metro, or maybe 6th biggest metro in the US. So yes, obviously these are places you are going to have signed as control cities. Good job, Texas. So 10 East Houston, and once we are in Houston, 10 switches to Beaumont. I don't really know how I feel about that. I'm not really that much of a fan, but I do suppose Beaumont is the last city in Texas, and it is sizable enough that it does make some sense to sign it. And having driven through it a couple years ago, it does feel like you're driving on an urban freeway briefly in Beaumont. This was the best I could find on Google Street View, but in Beaumont, we've got 10 East, Lake Charles, and Lufkin, with 10's concurrency with 69, 96, and 287. And when that concurrency ends, just simply 10 East Lake Charles. And in Lake Charles, we get 10 East Lafayette. So a lot of mid-sized Louisiana towns get signed here. At the intersection of 10 and 49, we get 10 East Baton Rouge, with 49 going to North Opelousas. Okay, sure. Yeah, that makes total sense instead of Shreveport, Opelousas. We'll get to that when we do I-49, though. We're not going to worry about that yet. So 10 East Baton Rouge, state capital. I guess that kind of makes sense to do there. Baton Rouge has a 110 with it. So we have a split off for 10 East and 12 East, New Orleans and Hammond, because Hammond deserves to be on the same side as New Orleans. Those are definitely equal places. Same appeal for both of them. Yeah, 12 East Hammond, 10 East New Orleans. I get that I-55 and I-12 meet in Hammond, and interstate junctions are often signed as control cities, but Louisiana does have very strange choices. So we get 10 East New Orleans, perfectly sensible. 10 East New Orleans Business District, once we are in the city and nearing downtown. 610 gets East Slidell, which is a harbinger of annoying things to come, because before long we are on 10 East Slidell. Slidell, I think, might be like one off ramp or something. Doesn't seem to have all that much there. I guess it's the intersection of 10 and 12, so 10, 12, and 59. So again, we're going with the interstate junction. City deserves to be signed. But then 10 East Bay St. Louis. Once you're in Slidell, Bay St. Louis. I don't think there's even an exit for Bay St. Louis. After Slidell, 10 doesn't seem to have another exit before it gets into Mississippi. So I really don't understand that one. Yeah, 10 East, Bay St. Louis. Oh yeah, Bay St. Louis is in Mississippi. But again, Bay St. Louis is the first little town. Why not Gulfport or Biloxi or Mobile? Bay St. Louis just seems like a very, very strange out-of-state choice. Once we're in Mississippi, we get signed for Mobile and not Bay St. Louis. So Mississippi is playing ball. Much better choice. 10 East, Biloxi, Mobile. I was in Biloxi not too long ago. Biloxi was a fine town. I'd be okay with Biloxi being signed. It's got its own 3-digit interstate, and it's got it's got its gambling scene and all that. This was the best sign I could sign in Street View, but 10 East, Pascagoula, maybe the dumbest control city on all of I-10. It's tough to say. There's a lot of dumb ones. I don't know why this is not just straight up 10 East Mobile, but at least it's not just straight up 10 East Pascagoula, which we will see, sure I'm mispronouncing that, which we will see on 10 West. All right, once we are in Mobile, we are now on 10 East Pensacola, which makes sense. It's the next big city, big military presence. And in Pensacola, 10 East Tallahassee. Sure, capital of Florida, home of Florida State, famous place. In Tallahassee, we get 10 East Lake City. I really hate Lake City as a control city. Florida is so weird. Sometimes Florida will sign somewhat distant, sometimes large cities. Sometimes they'll sign an interstate junction like Lake City that's basically nothing. Really, they're kind of all over the place in control city policy. In somewhere like New Mexico, you know you're just always going to get a bad one. You're always just going to get whatever is the next town 20 miles away. And somewhere like Utah, you know you're always going to get a good one. It's going to be some major city that everybody's heard of. But Florida, again, no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it's skipping over a few reasonably sized places to sign for Jacksonville, which is cool. Sometimes it is ignoring bigger places that you would pass through on the way to get to the place that it's signed, such as Naples. I mean, skipping Fort Myers, which is bigger than Naples, on the way to Naples on 75. And yeah, Lake City, the worst of the bunch. Once we meet 75 in Lake City, we get 10 East Jacksonville, and that will be pretty much the end of it. 10 ends at 95, where we have a choice between Savannah and Daytona Beach and the Jacksonville beaches. This will complete Interstate 10 eastbound. Thank you for watching, everybody. My name is Todd. I thank you for watching once again, and please like and subscribe. See you guys on 10 westbound coming soon.